For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell here with Katie Wyndham and Tony Tsoukalis, and this is Three and Out. Well, obviously, there's been a lot of news and conference shakeups lately with UCLA and USC heading to the Big Ten. There's obviously a lot of geographic talk and how the 5-hour plane flight from those two areas of the country, but also there's talk of expansion in other ways. We've heard Big 12 potentially reaching a deal with the Pac-12 with up to 6 teams. We have the ACC potentially working with the Pac-12 in order to increase both conferences' media rights. But today we're just going to narrow it down to one question. If the SEC could add one additional team, just one, mind you, which team would it be? Obviously, there would be groups of teams joining the conference, but we want to pick out which team we think would best benefit the conference in multiple ways. For me, I'm going to start off with a very red-hot controversial take. I think Georgia Tech would be a great addition to the Southeastern Conference. Now, hear me out. I know there's going to be negativity from a lot of people, but with Georgia Tech, you have a team that was already once part of the same conference as most of the SEC schools. They're based in Atlanta, which is, of course, a prime footprint for SEC. They're an engineering school, so no doubt they bring a lot of educational value to the conference. And they have a storied athletics program, not just football, but in other sports as well. That for Pete's sake, the Yellow Jackets are mentioned in Alabama's fight song. Is that Georgia Tech was one of Alabama's first rivalries, so they already have that impact. Now, I know these two others that are on this panel are going to disagree with me, but I think Georgia Tech would be a great complementary team to probably one of these teams that Katie or Tony are about to talk about. Katie, who's your pick?
I mean, Georgia Tech is certainly a take. They were part of the SEC back in the day, so I don't think it's a terrible pick. But I think Florida State would probably be the best fit for joining the SEC if the conference expands, which kind of seems inevitable at this point. It may not happen in the next year, but over the next couple of years, just with all that's happened. And so, I mean, if Florida State's also in the same footprint, it already has a rivalry with Florida, which a lot of times with the conference realignment, people are upset about the rivalries that are going to be lost. But Florida State and Florida already play, even though they're not in the same conference. So it's one that could just continue. Obviously they have a really storied football program, from the Bobby Bowden days. They've been trying to rebuild for the last couple of years, but did win a national championship, obviously under Jimbo in 2013 as well. They've had a pretty strong basketball program under Leonard Hamilton, since the early 2000s. And then also softball, which is big in the SEC. Florida State's kind of been a nemesis for Alabama. So, even though we've seen with the recent news with USC and UCLA that geographics doesn't necessarily matter for what teams will fit best. I think Florida State has a lot they can offer from an athletic standpoint, and just geographically, it just kind of makes sense that they're, within the area. They're actually within the Southeast. They're in the state of Florida, bring a really passionate fan base that can bring a lot to the SEC.
I actually like Florida State, unlike the Georgia Tech pick, but I think when you think about conference expansion, you're looking to get something that you don't already have. I think that's a big part of it. How are you going to grow the conference financially? How are you going to get into a market that you need to get into that's going to help the conference grow? And to me, the number one pick has to be Miami. It's a great market. You're still within the Southeastern region. It's a growing team. And with NIL, I think the Hurricanes are going to become a powerhouse. You've already seen them really start to, get big time recruits. I think, we'll have to see if the U is really coming back, but it certainly seems that way. So you'd have two growing teams with Texas and Miami, to kind of, for a long time, have been sleeping giants. I think that'd be great for the conference. And I think getting into that Miami market would be great. Obviously you'd have the rivalry with Florida. You could have a rivalry with Florida State too, if you were to bring them in as well. But to me, Miami is just a slam dunk, both from a financial standpoint, from a football standpoint. It's also a pretty good school. I mean, I think that's just a home run. I think, I think Clemson is another school I think we're all forgetting. I think that's a real powerhouse. But in terms of getting into a market, I think Miami would be huge. Clemson would also get you into that kind of North Carolina. I know they're in South Carolina, but it might get you up into that Charlotte market, some of those, kind of Atlantic coast kind of markets up there that could be big as well. But yeah, for me, 100% Miami.
Well, I was just raked over the coals by both Katie and Tony, so feel free to rake me over the coals in the comment section on Facebook. Much appreciated, and love to all you guys. For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell with Katie Wyndham and Tony Tsoukalis. This has been 3 and Out. Thank you so much for watching.